Today I'm going to talk about why this class should stop doing depressive speeches. So I have an official statistic that 90% of this class do depressive speeches. So that's one of the reasons why Tom and myself don't want to do this kind of speech. But there is some other reasons. They could have very bad effects on the health, on your family, on friends. So, but I mean, you cannot get better if you don't know exactly what is it. So that's the reason why I have a video of the causes of depression.
This is how the brain works. In the center part of the brain is where the cells that produce serotonin and norepinephrine modify the rest of the brain. Just like a dimmer switch can control how light or dark a whole room is just from one small area, each cell has connections with 500,000 other cells, and you only have 250,000 in your whole brain. The signal comes down the nerve, it releases these chemicals which then go across the space called the synapse. Once those chemicals fill up the receptors on the left side of the synapse, the signal is sent. That's how the nerve on the right influences the nerve on the left. Here's a higher magnification of the same thing. The signal comes down the nerve, it releases, goes across, reaches critical mass, now sucks back up into the yellow vacuum system. Now the body will recycle some of it, but the rest of it is destroyed and thrown away. And how much is destroyed and thrown away is dependent upon your family characteristics. So if you don't have enough of the chemical to fill up those receptors, then you will have the signs and symptoms of depression and anxiety. Some people have problems with too much rather than too little. This is what we think happens with people with schizophrenia, and this is the dopamine system. They're being so overstimulated with dopamine, they become very agitated, they hallucinate, they can't sleep, they hear voices. So what we use is medications called atypical antipsychotics, which are represented by these green balls, which temporarily sit and block those receptors from being overstimulated. Helps to calm them down, the voices go away, they can sleep much better if they'll take their medication. Now this is what happens with depression. Chemical is released, it did not reach critical mass, so sucks back up into the yellow vacuum system, and a double dose is now released. Now there's enough to fill up those receptors, and boom, the signal is sent. And now it's sucked back up into the vacuum system again, waiting for the next signal. Now antidepressants are not addictive. All they are these white balls that simply plug up that vacuum system. So now the body can't bring it back in and throw it away. So it helps your body conserve what you've already made. So now the concentration in that gap increases. It's like having instant hot water. When you turn on the spigot, you have hot water immediately. You don't have to wait for all the cold water to be pushed out of the hot water pipes before you get a cup of coffee or tea. This is what's addicting. This is in the pleasure center of the brain, and these are the dopamine receptors. And these purple balls represent methamphetamine and cocaine, which now begin to hit and to smash and to destroy those receptors. And it's like taking a hammer and smashing it through a board of wood so that people can no longer experience normal pleasure and joy in life unless you have more and more cocaine. So if you understand that, you understand how the brain works.
So, can you come back to the slide? Now we know the causes, just take a little look at the definition. So, depression is a serious medical condition in which a person feels very sad, hopeless, and unimportant, and often is unable to live in a normal way. There is some different kind of depression. So the first one is the depressive disorder, also called the clinical depression. There is also the chronic depression, the bipolar depression, and the atypical depression. This is for the class. So what are the symptoms of this depression? You will probably recognize yourself, class. The symptoms are extreme sensitivity to rejection, moods that worsen or improve in direct response to events, and thinking often about death or life problems. So, as I said, this is clearly what is about for the class. I have, for example, you can switch some. No, you cannot. Oh, you can switch some examples of the speeches that you guys did in class. So the first, the first category is about drugs and capital gains tax and poverty. So this is one of the worst, because when you begin to think about that, you cannot think about something else. It takes a long time to get better. So you have to go to a specialist, you have to work a lot to get better. The second one is, as you can see from the two first pictures, abortion, suicide, and drinking, texting when you're driving. So this is clearly speaking about death, right? But, I mean, you can switch, don't worry, there is a treatment. The first step is to work on yourself. Because if you don't know what is it, you cannot get better. The second step is to don't rely on medication alone. You have to get an advice from a specialist, because this is not something easy to treat. You really need to get better. The third step, and the last one, is to get a social support. That's when your family and your friends are important. You have to be with someone. You have to get a social support. To get the examples of the speeches, I sent an email to Leslie, and she gave me as an example of a depressive speeches, France and England. What a bad joke. But she also gave me a transition, because joke and positivity are very good for health. First of all, your positivity reflects on your outlook on life. Like, I don't know where I am. This is all about see the cup half empty or half full. You know, it's like if you're thinking positivity, you will have a lot of more possibilities. I mean, a lot of good things happens because people are thinking about they can do it and not they cannot do it. The second one is the relation with people. Like, I mean, in life, it's always better to be with people like who enjoy their life than when they're thinking about what can happen if they do something wrong. I mean, it saved me a lot of times when I have to come back from parties. You can switch them. So, what are the effects of positivity on health? I have a few examples on the page after. So, there is a lower rate of depression, of course. There is a lower level of distress, a greater resistance to the common cold, better psychological and physical well-being, and it reduced risk of death from cardiovascular disease. So this is the extreme opposite of depression. You can see that if you speak about positivity and if you don't do like depressive speeches, you can reduce the risk of death from cardiovascular disease. So that's a very important point, I think. Laughing is very, good for your face. Laughing works the muscle in your face, and it makes your face look younger as you sing. That's a true fact. Some professionals are working on it, and this is a real study. This is a real study. My third point is the effect of positivity on the class. So positivity on class can give you more motivation to go to class. I mean, I'm not talking about public speaking because we all like public speaking, but if you have the choice between going to the class where you're speaking about death and another class where you know you're gonna laugh and have fun, I mean, the choice is probably the class where you're gonna have fun. The relation with your classmates. I mean, a lot of friendship begin because you have fun on a special point with someone. I cannot remember what Of course, positivity makes you work better. So I didn't take an example of study because I didn't have time in my speech, but there is a lot of study on that too. Specialists are saying that people who go to work with a good atmosphere, with people and they are enjoying their work better than when they're going to work with people they don't really like and speak about bad things every time. It also makes you don't leave the class with bad feelings. It was my case for a lot of speeches when I left the class after the speeches of driving and texting, driving drunk. I mean, I felt pretty bad because I thought I was very close to the death a lot of times. So. You can switch on. Positivity give you motivation. For example, when we spoke about England and France, it probably gave you the motivation to go in England and in France, of course. I know that's not your case, but anyway, next one. Don't nervously think about life danger when she comes back home. So, Leslie is going back home by driving. So when she comes back home by driving, she probably thinks like about all the dangers. Like if she receives an important text, she would probably think, should I read it or should I wait? Or an important quote. Also, she will probably think about people who are driving drunk around her. So she could be scared. Then she comes back home. She's cooking. She would probably be scared by cooking genetically modified food. Also, after she's watching TV, she will probably think about what impact the TV program could have on her. So if you're thinking about all of the things you cannot live, and I'm very scared about this for Leslie because she's listening a lot of speech like that, and it probably affects her life. Conclusion. Depressive speeches could have very bad effects on your health, on your family, on your friends. But positivity have a very great effect on you. It makes you healthy, makes you feel, makes you seem younger, makes you just don't think about what can happen, just do it. I mean, how many of your remembers are based on crazy things that you didn't think about what could happen and you just did it?